6th special meeting of the Board of Education. We have Ahmed Ismail, Sherry Collins, Travis, Ginny, Jeup, and myself, Sean Cotton. Going through the agenda, there's been one request to add 4.2, the meeting minutes from the Finance Committee. Resolution on all the way with GPPA. We need to be careful and just keep it to fact-based comments and completely factual, so that we don't run afoul of any unfair labor practices. This resolution is being brought to empower the administration to execute this as fast as possible should an agreement come to be executed by the GPPA. One thing of note that I've been asked about, my Chi teachers are not funded by Act 18, so they are not covered by this resolution. Additionally, we do have in the works an LOA with the GPEPA, the Paraprofessionals, Educational Paraprofessionals Association. That has not been offered yet to them, so it cannot be discussed, the terms of it, at the board meeting. So with that, I'm looking for a motion to approve this agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Support.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Going into public comments. If you can, it'll be 3 minutes. Just stand, say your name, place of residence, and you have 3 minutes. Yes.
Okay, I'm Julie Bell. Many of you, most of you know me by now. This at its core is a civil rights issue. We can try to make it into a union versus admin, Julie versus board issue, but at its core, this is an issue about civil rights for our children with disabilities. And that's it. It was less than 50 years ago that my child got the right to attend public school. Sorry. But we should all know by now that just because somebody has the legal right to do something doesn't mean that equality is actually part of our day-to-day. We have tried to be as unobtrusive as possible, essentially, in this district. If you knew the history of what we've gone through here, I mentioned how I campaigned years ago to get rid of the restraints they were using in this very building against children with Down syndrome, physical restraints, locking their arms. During COVID, the fact that we lost like an entire year, basically, of education, and my son is still not the same. So we have known from this district for a long time that there is an unwillingness to spend any money from our general fund. No one is willing to sacrifice, essentially, for the children with special needs. And so I thank the district for coming up with a way where we can actually get some funding for special needs with no sacrifice to anybody else here. This is a win-win no matter what way you cut it. Doesn't impact the general fund, doesn't impact any current teachers. I equate it to basically funding for a ramp to get our kids into the school, because that's what this is. This is funding behind getting our kids access to a basic education. And I want to make clear that when they get access to this education, they are not going to have equal access, because that's not what this is about. None of you would ever stand for your children being in a classroom with grades 5 to 8. None of you would allow a 15-year-old boy in the same class as 10-year-old girls. You wouldn't have a general education teacher expected to teach every single subject to all of these different grade levels. When all is said and done, our kids are not going to have anywhere near equal rights. Like, all I'm asking now is that people here stop name-calling, stop using this as a tool between people, and that we can actually get behind this basic civil rights movement that we have now. Because I'll be honest, if this district blocks this, again, the least obtrusive thing we have, this is just accepting funding for special education. Like, I don't know where we go from here, right? I don't know how I live in this community that won't accept extra funding for special education, you know? So I'm asking the board, I'm asking the GPEA and the teachers here not to turn this into like name calling or a fight here, but to just stand up for the basic civil rights of our most vulnerable children. Get this done quickly, because it's almost 4 months into the school year, and like, we still don't have a teacher for our child. This is the tip of the iceberg about the challenges we have in special education. And we have a ton of a lot of work to do, and I really hope this new board will actually take on this work and try to bring us to a new, brighter future but like, we have to pass this hurdle. So I'm asking the people here, yes, pass this resolution, but even more so, my child's civil rights are now up for a vote. The teachers of my other children are now going to vote on whether or not my kid has access to an education. So I'm just asking people, right? You don't have to give up anything at all. I'm just asking you to accept this funds and accept us getting that money for that ramp into the educational building for my child.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes?
Clint Derringer, City of Grosse Pointe. I want to echo one sentiment from Mrs. Moe immediately, that the divisive nature of trying to solve this problem is certainly avoidable and should be avoided, both in the positive and the negative. The credit and blame dynamic is pretty small and petty. With that in mind, I wanted to kind of go over the whole timeline of this issue, specifically to the Mokai classroom at Parcells. There was a teacher there for 2 years, the last 2 years at Parcells. She resigned in June, officially resigned June 30th. She was a BA plus 20, which is the second lane. She was on step 1 after 2 years of teaching, because we have a step 0, or B, as you guys know, to save money. She was making $44,264 when she resigned after 2 years of teaching. She didn't want to leave the district. She asked to be reassigned and was told, I can't reassign you because I'll never fill that Mokai position. When the conversation comes to the administration, instead we would point at the contract language that stopped us from making decisions. And I remind you that this conversation initiated in June, while there still was not the new GPEA contract negotiated both by the admin and by the union. So that's June 30th. No activity through the month of July, which is kind of a common thing for Grosse Pointe Public Schools. August 21st is the next kind of main event. There's a tentative GPEA agreement reached and announced. So you would think that this crisis that we know is very hard to hire for that classroom would have been addressed in those negotiations where they belong. Apparently they did not get addressed by either side, the administration or the union. So there we are. On August 22nd is the first Facebook post by Mrs. Moe that caught my attention. I'll read this at the beginning for you. I just found out that there's currently no special education teacher hired to staff the Mokai room at Parcells. This is going to be so challenging for my son. August 22nd, long time ago. This was public record, public knowledge, social media. And 5 days later, at the Board of Education meeting, that position finally made it to the HR report in the agenda and in the minutes of your guys' meeting. So I can understand how Mrs. Moe understands she has to come to these meetings and address it directly to you guys just to get any type of response. 5 days later, at least we put that position into the HR report on August 27th. Later on August 27th, voting from the GPA started, went 27th to 29th. Of course, they eventually ratified the collective bargaining agreement. Next board meeting is September 10th. There's a special slide by Dr. Tuttle talking about teacher separation and showing our history over the last 5 years. And that particular table, interesting, okay, definitely down 35% from 2 years ago, but up X number of percent from 5 years ago. Tough to hire teachers, but definitely wanted to establish for the record that our district is not having a problem with hiring teachers, and it certainly has nothing to do with the contract. At least that's our narrative. September 18th, Grosse Pointe News has an advertisement for 4 potential board candidates, and they highlight this 35% reduced separation rate. Congratulations. I'm sure they are very happy with their results. That advertisement also was on the same day, September 18th, as the Legal Women Voters Forum. First question from the forum, if you guys recall, how do we attract and retain special education teachers? That's September 18th, 2 weeks into school. I would have thought that the district, the administration, the board, the community, clearly they knew that this was a problem. Clearly they bring it up publicly for us to talk about. All 9 candidates responded to that question. What were those responses? It's on YouTube. Go watch it. It's on the League of Women Voters website. Go watch it. What did we do? We pointed at the contract. Contract doesn't let us do it. Contract doesn't let us do it. Okay, definitely not a management or administration issue. It's the contract. October 2nd, there's a Grosse Pointe News article. Fewer teachers are leaving. The same title, front and center on the website and in the article. Link here if anybody wants it. Highlighting how well the district is doing, attracting and retaining teachers. We're now 2 months after Mrs. Mo's original post on Facebook about there being a crisis in this classroom. October 10th, word circulates that the HR director has resigned. She stays on through November 1st, thank goodness. I mean, again, a little bit more crisis. Of course, it makes sense that we have trouble with HR staffing when we can't keep leadership in those positions. Also, notably missing today, the administration. Thank you to the 5 board members for showing up. Thank you to the community. But the administration actually has to lead on this issue. Mid-October, we fill that MOCI position and then remove that teacher 1 week later. October 22nd, Board of Education meeting is canceled because there's no pressing business. I'll say that again. October 22nd, 2 months after Julie's first comment, openly and publicly, about a crisis, no pressing business to handle, so we cancel that board meeting. Okay, October 28th, positions reposted, still open to this day. We have had some applicants that almost accepted the job and then left to take offers of more money, and that's what brings us here down the road. November 5th, Board of Education meeting canceled, no pressing business. Still not important enough to deal with. Okay, Election Day also happens to fall on November 5th. You can understand canceling the meeting for that. November 19th, Board of Education meeting gets called, and now Mrs. Mo comes back to the podium after the Trombley issue is addressed first, of course, and starts to put public pressure both on the board and on the administration and on the teachers union as well. December 9th, Board of Education meeting, 6 hours long. Approval of the assistant superintendent for HR. Thank goodness, it only took 3 months to figure out how to promote somebody internally. Julie Moe comes back to the podium after the Trombley issue, makes some more comments. December 15th, letter sent to the GPA membership by their leadership, gets published on Facebook about 5 days later. December 17th, the letter of agreement that we're here to discuss gets submitted to the GPA leadership 2 days later. December 19th, an email from the admin regarding the statements to the Detroit News from both sides, teachers and administrators. December 20th, an email from the admin with that letter of agreement, the detail, and a request for confidentiality. Mere hours later on December 20th, Facebook posts and comments are openly discussing the details of the letter of agreement and the ongoing negotiations. No less than 4 board members use their actual name, discuss this openly on Facebook. Who knows how many Facebook fake accounts are actually talking about it, the board members behind it. And then December 26th.
You're saying that there's board members with fake?
I am saying that, yes, December 26th. I don't, it's my own conjecture. December 26th, special Board of Education meeting here today. And I hope that we can resolve this because we're now directing the administration to do something that they've already done, which is submit this letter of agreement to the GPEA. GPEA will then have to send it to their membership to vote on, as highlighted by Mrs. Moe, and hopefully we can resolve this issue.
Okay. What I'll note is your words, the divisive nature in solving problems with credit and blame is small and petty, yet you just engaged in that for the last 7 minutes.
I reiterated the timeline.
Okay, is there any other public comment? Yes?
Do I get 7 minutes also to ramble on and on, or can I just,
Well,
my help is 3 minutes?
let's see how it goes.
Well, unlike some people who stand up and say, I don't want to point fingers, I actually won't point fingers.
Can you just state your name? Please?
My name is Dick Schroeder, I'm with Grosse Pointe Park, and I'm not a member of the union, and I'm not a puppet of the union, just unlike some people here. With trying to stay within 3 minutes, I want what this lady wants. Do I still have about 6 more minutes to point fingers, or is that good enough? Did I state my message clearly enough, or, I don't want to be held, hostage by a union that wants $4 million to do what this young lady needs to be done. Let's do what this young lady wants. Maybe 4 years from now I'll stand up and give a campaign speech, but right now, I just want what this lady wants. Thank you.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Lakeisha Ray Felder, Grosse Pointe Park. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy First Day of Kwanzaa. I hope in 2025 that we are entering our Put Students First era, where we're dealing with what our students need on the first day of the year and not at the end of the year. I agree 100% with Ms. Moe. This is a civil rights issue. It's a human rights issue. We cannot have academic or educational excellence if our students don't have teachers. That's the special ed, general ed, our students need teachers. I think that's something that we all can agree on. I think we all can agree on that we all must move forward together. We've already heard some of this bickering at the outset of this meeting. We have to move forward together, and that does not mean public posturing. That does not mean putting the union against administration or pitting teachers against the community. I think we all agree that our students need teachers, that we need to have environments that are welcoming, environments that our children can learn in. We need to have a district that agrees that administration, teacher, parents, this entire community, I believe we have the same priority, which is to have the best school district in the nation, to have the best schools where everyone is included. Special education students, children of color, children who are otherwise different or bullied or treated differently in the school environment. I ask in 2025, when we're about to start, like this is an opportunity for all of us. It is an opportunity for all of us to put students first. I've heard it time and time again on the campaign trail. I've heard it from the stage. I've heard it from parents in the audience. I've heard it from advocates. We need to put our students first. And that means considering the business of this district at the board table. That means considering what our students' needs are, and every student need is different. I think we all have a responsibility to put our egos aside, to put our agendas aside, and really think about what it means to put students first and to move forward together. I am fortunate that I have 3 children who are thriving in this district, and my hope for 2025 is that every parent can stand up and say that their child is thriving. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? All right, moving on. So I'm going to read this resolution first, and then I will put it on the table. Resolution to direct the administration of the district to negotiate and execute a letter of agreement. Sponsors, Lisa Pappas and Terrence Collins. Resolution on LOA and GPA. Whereas the administration of the Grosse Pointe Public School System, the administration has worked diligently to secure additional funding from Act 18 funds in order to attract and retain special education teachers that are teaching in the Act 18 center-based classrooms. Whereas the administration has secured a commitment to additional funding from Wayne Research pursuant to Act 18, which may be used for additional compensation for special education teachers who work in Act 18 center-based classrooms. Whereas the board is desirous to find ways to take advantage of the Act 18 funding offered by Wayne Research. Whereas the administration has presented a letter of agreement to the Grosse Pointe Education Association that allows for the utilization of the additional Act 18 funding provided by Wayne Research, a copy of which is attached here too for reference. Whereas in the interest of expediting the retention and hiring of special education teachers that are teaching in the Act 18 center-based classrooms, the board is bringing forth this resolution to give the administration authority to negotiate and execute a letter of agreement as soon as is possible. Now therefore be it resolved as follows, that the administration is authorized by the Board of Education to negotiate a LOA with the GPEA to utilize Act 18 funding for additional compensation for special education teachers who work in Act 18 center-based classrooms. The attached LOA is a potential sample of what the administration may negotiate with the GPEA. The attached LOA is not intended to be the board's last best offer, rather is meant to demonstrate the board's willingness to engage in negotiations regarding this topic. Letter of agreement between the Grosse Pointe Public School System and Grosse Pointe Education Association, MEA and MEA. In recognition of the additional duties and responsibilities of GPEA bargaining unit members holding positions identified herein, Grosse Pointe Public School System, GPPSS, and the Grosse Pointe Education Association, MEA, NEA, hereby agree as follows. All GPEA bargaining unit members who are special education teachers teaching in the Act 18 center-based classrooms identified below, including those who are newly assigned, reassigned, and newly hired, shall receive additional compensation in the amount of $10,000 for the 24-25 school year and $10,000 for the 25-26 school year. Said amount shall be paid through the district's normal payroll procedures and biweekly paycheck installments. GPEA bargaining unit members who are eligible for the additional compensation provided for in this paragraph and subsequently take an extended leave of absence will not receive the prorated amount of the additional compensation for their biweekly paychecks during the duration of the leave. The positions eligible for the $10,000 described in this paragraph are as follows. Autism spectrum disorder, moderate cognitive impairment. also known as MOCAI. And just to note, MICAI is not covered under Act 18, and that's why they're not here.
Just, can I interrupt just for a minute, just for people who might not be aware, MOCAI is moderate cognitive impairment, MICAI is mildly
Yes.
cognitively impaired. So I mean, I think it's important we understand what those acronyms mean.
Yes.
Thank you.
As the payments provided in paragraphs 1 and above are in consideration for additional duties and responsibilities assigned to those positions, said payments shall be subject to commensurate. The additional compensation provided herein shall be prorated for those bargaining unit members who do not remain in the position because of transfer, reassignment, or severance of employment through the last professional staff report date of the school year. This letter of agreement shall sunset on June 30th, 2026. This letter of agreement shall not be considered precedent or past practice for any purpose. Okay, I move to approve this resolution. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Just for information on this, we have 30 current staff members who would be immediately eligible for this, and we have 4 open positions, 3 ASD, 1 MOCAI for that. And to understand the scope of special needs in the Grosse Pointe Public School System, we currently have roughly 956 students with special needs in the district, and that's right under 15% of the total population. The district has been intently negotiating with Wayne Risa to secure this funding for the last 2 months, and we now have this before us where we can approve this resolution to give them the authority to immediately execute and go out and find staff as soon as possible once this has been executed by the GPEA. With that, can there be discussion? Yes,
To the point where this letter of agreement was already presented to the GPA.
yes.
Okay. So let's get it done.
Good question. I
Yes.
think I know the answer. Regardless of where these funds come from, we can't do it without them, without the agreement.
That is correct, and we've been told that if we went ahead and used these Act 18 funds, then we could have a action where the district would have to then pay the same $10,000 bonus to all teaching staff from the general fund. So it's not, we do have to have this agreement agreed to by the GPEA as the bargaining unit for the teachers, and then signed off on the board, which the board is signing off on now.
My only reason to ask that question is a couple people made the comment that the district's been unwilling to use general fund dollars to pay special ed teachers, regardless of where the money comes from. You have to have the agreement.
That is correct. Any other discussion?
Just that this was not a light decision to call this meeting, and I think it's important. I think it's a critical thing to put in place. And, as somebody that spends time in classrooms, that teaches a pull-out classroom, I understand everything that Ms. Moll said. I understand the different age levels because I teach a class like that. And I know exactly a lot of the things that are involved, and you're absolutely right. That few parents would tolerate some of the warehousing that goes on in special ed in their general ed classrooms. But this is imperative. I mean, your child and everyone's child deserves a teacher, and I mean, we have to get this done. Our administration has to be able to hit the ground running after the holiday, and I think we've fallen far away. We have talked a lot about academic excellence and the standards that our district had, but I remember when we moved here, we were the district to be in for special ed. And I had a good friend of mine that unfortunately is no longer with us, but he had an autistic daughter here, and he moved to a different school system in Macomb. And he was telling me, excited about his move. We were at a soccer game and he said, I'm really sad that she's leaving all of her fabulous young teachers here in Grosse Pointe and how great the program was. But where he was moving, they had patterned their program after ours. So at one point, many years ago, we were the system to replicate. And that has, I think a lot of other districts have gone beyond where we're at the moment. I'd like to see us get back to that, to being the trendsetter and the ones that other people copy. But these children are important. I don't think, unless you have a child or know somebody well, the extra hurdles that these families go through on top of everything else. There's extra medical appointments. There's a lot of things, extra things that they have to go through on a daily basis that impact their families, that impact just getting their child to school, picking them up. And transitions are particularly difficult for children in this, for a variety of reasons, but it's very difficult when there's no consistent person. And I know my class this year lost their teacher who left to go to another school for very much similar reasons. And the new teacher's trying to catch up, but it's been a very difficult transition for those students. And the teacher that left us was absolutely amazing. And those kids they've had a lot of regressions. They've had a lot of acting out with the transition from their former teacher. So I understand what the situation is, and I think it was something that had to be taken upon, and that's why we called this meeting. It wasn't something we felt we could wait. Certainly we had vacations, I'm off, I had things to do, and I certainly didn't desire to impact any district employees by having to open up a building or anything, but I think this was something that was very crucial, so.
Facility staff is working today.
I'm sorry?
No one was impacted, facility staff is working today.
Well, Deb is here. Somebody had opened the building, I'm just saying.
Right, no, our facility staff.
Oh, the facility staff, I got you. So nobody had to come in specially, which makes me very happy, but anyways, I think it was important. I'm glad we met, and I think this is an important step forward.
Another question on the agreement going forward. So you gave a number, was it 30 teachers plus 4 open positions?
30 would have this apply to them who are working here today, and there's 4 current open positions in the teaching staff.
Okay. If for whatever reason the number goes up, the number of special ed students goes up or down next year, does it impact the agreement in any way? I mean, if we have 50 more special ed students next year, that will apply if there's 4 or 5 additional special ed teachers that need to be hired, or is it set at this? Is the letter of agreement capped at 34?
No, my understanding is waivers is agreed to for any teachers who are in special education. For the Act 18.
Yeah, correct.
Yes.
Is there a comfort level that you sensed from the administration that this will solve their frustration in hiring people?
I think they're very excited.
Are they? Good.
It's a no-brainer. When he's there, we need to utilize it.
Any other comments? Okay, we'll go, we'll call a vote. Trustee Ismail?
Yes.
Trustee Collins?
Yes.
Trustee Pappas?
Yes.
Trustee Jeup?
Yes.
Yes, the motion carries. Second, Finance Facilities Committee minutes. Unfortunately, the regular meeting minutes were not ready yet, so those will be in January 7th meeting. If no one here has already into the record. I called the meeting to order at 5:30 p.m. Committee members present, myself, Treasurer Collins, Trustee Warden, Superintendent Tuttle, CFO Pavlik, Executive Director Stanley, Director Madison, Melissa Frenberg, Keith Roberts, Mike Pataki, absent were Matt Agnon, Ryan Case, and Joseph Park. Also present, Gary Kent, Plant Moran, and Sean Wall of PFN Financial Advisors, Pledge of allegiance to attendance. I stated that trustees Jeup and Pappas could attend the meeting without violating the OMA so long as they did not make any statements. I cited AG Opinion 6636, Nicholas versus Meridian Township, and Ryan versus Cleveland Township. The meeting was handed over to Superintendent Tuttle. Then Director Masson led the discussion on the RFP on parking lot work and recommended a bidder. Gary Kent and Moran assisted in the discussion. Fiber RFP, Executive Director Stanley led the discussion on fiber optics and the need to reconfigure for redundancy of buildings. We had a sinking fund update. Superintendent Tuttle led the discussion on sinking fund prioritization for the next 3 years. Bond extension discussion. Superintendent Tuttle led the discussion on a recommendation of a bond extension. Sean Wall, PFM Financial Advisors, assisted in the discussion. Public comments. Kim Mocker at Grosse Woods expressed concerns regarding the specificity of projects covered by the bond proposal, emphasized the importance of validating the district's overall needs before bond issuance, particularly considering potential population declines. Mr. Mocker noted that if Grosse Pointe North High School were to close due to declining enrollment, it could create challenges related to bond finance funding. He also urged the board to consider the impact of potential district reconfiguration, including school closures and increased busing requirements. James Crichton of GPP voiced agreement with Ken Montgomery's concerns, highlighting statewide and local student population declines. He stressed the importance of the Van Moran Needs Assessment Report in providing guidance to right-size the district. Mr. Crichton emphasized the need to determine which buildings warrant investment and stated that he represents others. Committee member comments. Treasurer Collins thanked the district for his appointment to the Finance and Facilities Committee and thanked Superintendent Tuttle for doing the work in getting the operating millage and sinking fund passed. Trustee Warden thanked Treasurer Collins for his service on the committee and asked that Director Madison and the staff that know our buildings the best provide their prioritization of the needs of the district. I agreed with Trustee Warden that prioritization of projects should come from our staff. I stated that I disagreed with the statements of Ken Montgomery and James Crichton, as the district has shown that it can run and maintain all buildings in the district, and further stated that I do not believe this bond would pass unless there was an agreement that all schools remain open and operational. Melissa Fannenberg agreed with Chairman Cotton stated that if the district is contemplating the closure of buildings and funding from the bond should not be tied to specific schools. We adjourn to 6:35 p.m. I move to approve these minutes. Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned. No, any other comments?
Just Happy New Year. Enjoy. Have a safe and relaxing rest of the holiday season, everybody.
Yes. Okay. We are adjourned.
Nice.